A very good morning to all and welcome to the third class. Today we are going to learn about another topic that is about food habits of animals. So in the last two classes we learned about the sources from which we get food, right? And which are the two different sources from which we get food? Plants and animals, right? We depend on plants and animals for our food. And we learned about the different food items that we get from plants and animals. Today, we are going to discuss about the food habits of animals. What do animals eat? So, do all animals eat the same food? No. Different animals eat different types of food. So some animals depend directly and indirectly on plants. So today we are going to discuss about the food habits of animals. So what do animals eat? So based on food habits, we can classify animals as following. The first one, herbivores, then carnivorous, omnivorous, then scavengers and decomposers. So based on food habits, we can classify animals as following. So which are they? Herbivores, carnivorous, omnivorous, scavengers and decomposers. So let's discuss each of them one by one. The first one is herbivorous animals. So herbi, H-E-R-B-I. So it means plants. Vor, V-O-R-E, that means eaters. So they are plant eaters. So what are herbivorous animals? Animals that depend on plants for their food. So such animals, what do we call them? We call them herbivorous animals. So example, cow, elephant, deer. So all these are examples for herbivorous animals. Why? Because these animals depend on plants for their food. So depending on the food they eat, they have their own body features. They have body features depending on the food they eat. So these herbivorous animals have sharp teeth, sharp cutting teeth in the front so that they can easily cut the grass and leaves they eat. So they have sharp cutting teeth in the front and in the back they have flat grinding teeth. They have flat grinding teeth in the back. That helps them to chew the food. So depending on the food they eat, animals have their own body features. So the first one is herbivorous animals. Animals that depend on plants for their food. Then herbivorous animals like parrots. Then what do they eat? Herbivorous animals like parrots. So what do they eat? They eat seeds. So these parrots have curved beak. So that curved beak helps them to break open the fruits and nuts so that they can get the seeds. So the parrots have curved like beak. Then what about insects? So what do they feed on? They feed on nectar from the flower, the sweet liquid or the sweet juice which is present on the flower. And the insects feed on nectar. And depending on that, depending on the food they eat, they have their own body features. So insects have straw-like mouth part. And the straw-like mouth part helps them to suck the nectar from the flower. Then the other one, that is sunbird. So sunbird has next one is sunbirds. So it has long, thin, curved beak and they also feed on nectar from flowers. So that they have long, thin, curved beak that helps them to suck the nectar from flowers. So that is all about herbivorous animals. Animals that depend on plants for their food. And depending on the food they eat, they have their own body features. Then, which is the next category? That is carnivorous animals. So, carni, C-A-R-N-I, which means meat, and vor, which means eaters. They are meat eaters, which means they eat the flesh of other animals. So, what are carnivorous animals? Animals that eat the flesh of other animals. We call them as carnivorous animals. For example, tiger, lion, all these are examples for carnivorous animals. So, they have their own body features depending on the food they eat. Let's take the example of tiger. So, tigers, they have strong, sharp teeth. They have strong, sharp teeth to tear the flesh of animals. Even they have sharp claws to hold their prey. What about sharks? They live in water. They can swim in high speed. They can swim in tremendous speed. And they have sharp front teeth. And they feed on other fish. Then, what about eagle? It is a carnivorous animal. It has sharp beak and sharp claws that helps them to catch the prey. Then penguins, they feed on fish and they live in water. They have streamlined body. That body feature helps them to swim easily in the water, and they have flipper-like wings. And it is a carnivorous animal and it feeds on other fish. So, what are carnivorous animals? Animals that eat the flesh of other animals. And depending on the food they eat, they have their own body features. Then, which is the next category of animals? That is omnivorous animals. So, what does it mean? It means animals that eat both plants and animals. These animals depend on plants as well as animals for their food. Example, peacock, fox, bear. So, all these are examples for omnivorous animals. Taking the example of peacock, they eat seeds, even they eat small animals, so that they depend on both plants and animals for their food. Coming to the next category, that is scavengers. So, what are scavengers? Animals that eat the flesh of dead animals. Animals that eat the flesh of dead animals. So, now you all may think, what is the difference between a carnivore and a scavenger? So, what is the difference between a carnivore and a scavenger? So, carnivorous animals eat the flesh of other animals. In that case, these carnivorous animals will hunt and they eat the flesh of other animals. But in case of scavengers, they do not kill other animals. They only eat the flesh of dead animals. So that is the difference. So carnivorous animals will hunt their prey and they feed on them, but scavengers do not kill other animals. They only eat other animals. They only eat the flesh of other animals. So that is about scavengers. For example, vulture, crow, all these are examples for scavengers. They eat the flesh of dead animals. Then they clean our surroundings. Coming to the last category, that is decomposers. So these animals feed on dead remains of plants and animals. So these animals feed on dead remains of plants and animals. For example, soil bacteria, soil fungi, all these are examples for decomposers. So these decomposers break down the dead remains of plants and animals into simple substances. So these simple substances get mixed in the soil and it adds fertility to the soil. It makes the soil fertile. So that these decomposers are called as farmer's friend. Why? Because they make the soil fertile and plants grow very well in fertile soil. So decomposers feed on dead remains of plants and animals. So based on food habits, we can classify animals as herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, scavengers and decomposers. So I hope this is clear to you. So you have an activity in page number 11. So there are 2 activities given, project zone. So you can just go through it and you can find the answers for both the activities. And once you are done, you can submit in Microsoft Teams. So I hope this chapter was clear to you. You can do all the exercises given in the textbook. So we'll meet in the next class and we'll start with a new chapter. Till then, thank you.